The Marvel Cinematic Universe shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon. Coming hot off the heels of Disney Plus's success with WandaVision, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier soared into the living rooms to continue the stories of Captain America's two biggest supporting players. Now fully in the spotlight, these heroes paved the way for the future of the MCU and evolved as characters in their own right. So today, on this episode of Script or Screen, let's check out this series and what it means to be the symbol of freedom. Well, Zach, here we are again for another week of the wonderful show Script or Screen, in which you and I together make happen on the internet, in addition with the help of our lovely editor, Billiam. How are you doing today?
Are you asking me or are you asking Billy?
Oh, well, I suppose it's an open-ended question. How are any of you doing today?
Well, I'm doing well, and Billy, I'll leave this silence for you.
I'm doing well. Oh,
thanks, Billy. That was a lovely response.
Okay, cool, whatever.
Welcome back to Script or Screen. New week, new episode. Again, a lot of great material coming out these last few weeks. I just feel like, Zach, we've been getting a lot of good stuff, good content.
Let me tell you something. We are not starved for entertainment in this day and age. I'm actually right in the process. I'm late to the party, but I am in the process of watching through season 1 of Invincible, which, if you haven't seen, pretty cool. Not the best thing I've ever seen, but it's pretty interesting.
You know, I've been hearing this is like interesting that Amazon, because I believe it's Amazon Prime and this whole studio that's been coming out with this show alongside their other like kind of off-brand superhero material, which is what is it?
The Boys.
The Boys. Now, is Invincible based off of like an existing comic, or is that all original to them?
It is no, it's based off a comic. It's based off a series written by Robert. I think he's the main writer. He may be a co-writer, but Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead fame. And
okay, that's interesting.
It was a long-running series. I think it ran for like 15 years or something, from 2003 to 2018. And so I knew about it before the show, but I never read the comic, and so getting into it now, it's interesting. It has moments where it's brilliant, and then moments where you're like, wow, this is not great, but I'm enjoying it. But actually, contrary to what I've kind of led us on, this is not the Invincible podcast.
No, but still, I would say it's still on theme, superheroes.
It is.
And everything. Today we are talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Both of them together.
Yeah, finally, at last. This is awesome.
Yes. Let me tell you something. I was flipping through TV the other day. By the other day, I mean like literally a couple of days ago, knowing full well that we were going to record this episode, and Captain America, the Winter Soldier was on TV, and I caught it right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And seeing like the introduction of like Sam Wilson and the reintroduction of Bucky, and knowing where eventually those characters will go, now that I have, seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier all the way through, I'm like, man, it's crazy to go back and see like where these characters, kind of got their start.
Yeah. So I think,
and now
what's interesting, and yeah, pretty much. What's interesting enough, though, I think, is that like, I want to say the amount of time that passed from that film to now, it's kind of weird, right? Because it's just, we saw them in Civil War. We saw them in both Infinity War and Endgame, but it's like the moments between I guess between Civil War. Oh, and I guess you also saw kind of Sam Wilson, at least in Ultron. Huh.
And Ant-Man.
And Ant-Man. Jesus. So maybe there was a bit of avenging in between all that, but he's they're definitely in different places of their lives, and we're gonna get into that.
I would say so, yeah.
But I just want to, I'm going to stop for a second and do a little housekeeping, because Zach, you and I, and Billy, we have hit a milestone. This is really, really awesome. We launched Scripture Screen in like the late summer of last year, I guess early fall. What would you consider it? I forget the month even. That it's our very first episode came out.
That time.
Exactly. And to this day, we have finally reached 1,000 plays on the podcast as the last episode publishing.
Wowee.
And you know what? I want to just thank anyone and everyone who's ever listened since September 15th, so I guess the fall, of last year. We really appreciate you. And
yes.
We are glad if you're one of the establishing listeners, thank you for joining us yet again. If you're a new listener, welcome. There's a bunch of other content for you to catch up on, and it's hours, literally hours.
Good we haven't said it in a while, but we appreciate your ears, and it boggles the mind that people have listened to us at least 1,000 times.
Bingo. So that's pretty cool. And with all that being said, if you would like to listen to Scripture Screen, you can go to our website at www.scripturescreen.com or anchor.fm/Scripture Screen and find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. They're literally all there. Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Overcast, all these things. Additionally, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the show, or you want to keep up with us on social media, you can go to us at Scripture Screen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and check out all of our postings there and see whenever we have a new episode up. And I got to say, Zach, you and I do a great job on the Scripture Screen stories on Instagram. Sometimes I have to say I pride myself in our posts. I think you and I do a good job with the music, with the GIFs or GIFs, however, whatever end of the spectrum you're on.
It's like a canvas, and you get all these tools to work with, and how can you not be expected to just play it up big?
Every post is a masterpiece, in my opinion. But yeah, I thanks for listening, and here's to another episode.
We'll see you next week.
Even better. So, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Zach, what was your overall impressions before going into the series? What were you looking forward to? What did you want to see?
Well, so I was looking forward to, obviously, seeing what direction our two title characters were taken in. I knew going into it, obviously, we were going to get the return of an antagonist from a previous Marvel film, who I'll save who I'm talking about until we get into the cast. But I was looking forward to that, and I was looking forward to seeing what Disney and Marvel could do with on a television scale, even with that kind of a budget. And getting into it, I would say overall, I very much enjoyed it. It's not to say that there weren't moments where I felt that did not land as hard as they should have. And things where I go, this kind of reeks of rewrites or reshoots or something. But for the most part, I did enjoy it. I thought the character work was very well done. The action was cool. And I think it handles a lot of things very maturely that you really don't see in this genre.
Yeah, I want to say for me, out of all the Disney Plus Marvel series that they had announced, like in the last 2 years, this was probably the one that I was looking forward to the most. Because I couldn't imagine that we would get some weird spin-off of this. However, I will say at times, it did feel like this was not the show I was promised. And that's me, as a fan, getting my expectations too high, which I try not to do, but I did. But overall, I would say the product that we were given was pretty great, and I don't have many complaints. The last thing that we saw in Endgame, spoilers, was Steve hand the shield off to Sam, and even Bucky there, saying, or I guess he didn't say anything, but
I believe he gave an affirming nod.
exactly. You know, like that was an important moment, and I couldn't wait to see kind of what happened next. You know, because when Sam had the shield, you have like all these different ideas, like these storylines in the comics, like Civil War II, you know, and just all these other things that it's like, dude, these are iconic Sam Wilson Captain America moments. And then to come to find like the curveball that they threw us, like kind of opening up to the show, I was like, I was into it from the start. So
yeah, it definitely had a very interesting hook.
Yeah.
I definitely want to dig into that particular hook as we pretty early into when we get into it. But I guess what you're saying is overall you really liked it.
I would say as the product, there were a lot of great moments in this that I feel like it was finally time for Marvel to go into this direction. Both like thematically and also, some of the imagery that was produced in this. I think it will have long-lasting effects in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and in pop culture as a whole, like for years to come.
For sure. So how about this? Want to hit them with that old synopsis?
I will. And you know what? I'm going to go back to IMDb for this one. I just feel like what they have here, it's a little vague, but it's all we need for the setup. And of course, if you haven't seen the show yet, it's available all episodes on Disney Plus. I think at this point we are going to get into a little bit of spoilers. Sorry if you were expecting more of a non-spoilery discussion, but come on, go watch it, then come back to listen to us. I promise you will not regret it. So, the synopsis. Following the events of Avengers Endgame, Sam Wilson, Falcon, and Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, team up in a global adventure that tests their abilities and their patience. What do you think about that one?
And short and to the point. Yeah, it's good. It doesn't give too much away. Sometimes the true mark of a good synopsis is it tells you just enough that it makes you want more. Without ruining any surprises.
I would say overall, like, that's exactly what I needed to know kind of going into the first episode. When you think
Definitely.
about, I talked about, like, the reintroduction of the show, the patience of these characters is super tested when we find out that, like, not only are we not starting off with Sam Wilson, Captain America, but we're also not starting off with like the Winter Soldier,
Right.
Both of the Winter Soldier is gone. That is not Bucky Barnes anymore. And Sam Wilson retired the shield and left it, untouched, untainted. Gave it back to the government, as if it were government property to begin with.
Right, which I guess technically it's Stark property.
Technically, it's the property of whoever owns the thing.
That's true. So here, let me let's go into kind of the people behind the scenes, give them the credit they deserve because they did a pretty fantastic job here. So general info, obviously streamed on Disney Plus. Its original run was March 19th to April 23rd, 2021. It started literally 2 weeks after WandaVision ended, so there was
I couldn't ask for a better turnaround than that, honestly.
There was no downtime, practically.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this was supposed to roll directly into Loki, and then Disney kind of reshuffled their cards a bit. But I think they put out a big trailer where they're like, this is our schedule, and god damn it, we're sticking to it.
Actually, until a week ago, they announced that Loki's now going to air like a week before. They said it was going to for the longest time.
Right. Yeah, now on Wednesdays instead of Fridays.
Yeah, I guess that's fine,
Yeah. So budget, just like WandaVision, is estimated about $25 million per episode. Still just a baffling amount of money. But man, the show looks great. I don't think there's ever a point.
That budget is too much at times. Honestly, I feel like there are a lot of scenes, and I'll talk about it later on. That did. I mean,
how
where?
else?
Where?
how else could they afford these swanky, vaguely European rooms for everyone to stand around in?
Honestly, yeah, can I be a little honest here? I don't even think it had to do with the production design. Maybe the CG in some of the bits, but I feel like some of the actors took more of it than anything else.
Maybe. It could be. But so the showrunner was Malcolm Spellman, and just looking at his previous stuff, he worked on Empire as a writer. He did Truth Be Told, and what is this? Our Family Wedding with Forrest Whitaker.
Okay, cool.
So he's I like Marvel when they look at somebody who's maybe you wouldn't think of like action spectacle, and they tap them because they want to add like a little something special to a series or to a show.
I was going to say, isn't that what they did with their last Captain America franchise holders?
Well, yeah, exactly. So the Russos.
Yeah, the Russo brothers. They definitely went straight from Community to this universe.
It's funny though because they say, the one thing Community was good at, I never really was a fan of the show, not for lack of quality or anything, but mainly because I just never sat down to watch it. But Community, it's a big cast of characters, and they all have very diverse personalities. So it was a good kind of they had the experience of taking a bunch of characters and giving everyone a moment. So yeah. I think that's what made them a good fit for this. And I'm sure if I went and I checked out Malcolm Spellman's previous works, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, he definitely, like, I can see why they wanted to tap him for this. And I think he did a good job with this, and he served as one of the head writers for the series. The director for the entire 6-episode run was Carrie Skogland. I don't know how to pronounce her name.
I'll say Skogland. I think that's good.
She has worked on just tons of shows. I mean, she's worked on Walking Dead, Handmaid's Tale, The Punisher, Boardwalk Empire, Vikings.
Ooh. So. Does it say which season of The Punisher, or is she like all The Punisher?
Punisher.
Like seasons 1 and 2. I saw the first season, and I did enjoy that.
It's funny because it says she directed episode 4 of season 1. I only got 3 episodes into that series.
Oh no! It's funny. I didn't end up watching season 2, but I really like season 1.
I hope that Marvel can find a way to work back in Jon Bernthal as Punisher. They're gonna have to cool it on some of the violence though, because that show gets kind of intense.
Yeah, we'll see.
You never know. But written by Malcolm Spellman, Michael Castellian, Derek Kolstad, Dylan Musin, and Yosef Sawyer. And I would say, if anything, for the most part, I think the writing on this series was good, at times great, and at times a little
absent.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
And lastly, we have music by Henry Jackman. Listen, there is one piece of music composition in this whole thing. For the most part, I thought it was fine. Like, it was a lot of kind of military, spy espionage style score. But I have to give Henry Jackman credit for episode 2's opening, which was the marching band cover of Star Spangled Man with a Plan.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
It is a great tribute, and also a wonderful rendition of the song. So it was.
And hey, that was a song. That song was nominated for an Academy Award back when the first of Captain America: First Avenger came out.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's pretty cool.
Yep. So then we've got our lovely cast. A bunch of real great people here. Have you seen the what is it, the TikTok or the clip of Anthony Mackie talking up Sebastian Stan on the red carpet?
I have
And
not.
he's like, oh my gosh, it's Sebastian Stan.
That sounds like him.
Yeah, I like.
They have a great camaraderie in all their. I just love seeing them in interviews whenever they're doing MCU.
They play off each other really well. You can tell that Marvel really pushes for they want these people to be friends in real life, so you get that chemistry when they're, on screen together.
What if they just absolutely hate each other and off screen?
I don't know. I don't think there's ever been a case of that with Marvel. I know some other shows and movies where I've watched where I've heard that the actors could not stand each other, and it made filming scenes a little tough.
Like in Friends, when Chandler was, off doing the drugs and the alcohol, and he'd be an asshole to other people on set. You ever hear those stories?
I don't know. No, I've never watched Friends. I don't watch Friends.
Well, now you know.
I was thinking more of how apparently Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy hate each other, and so filming Mad Max Fury Road was kind of intense at times. Anyway, we've got this wonderful cast. We got Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, aka spoilers, Captain America.
That's a pretty cool guy he got right there.
Yes.
It was nice that they didn't recast him or have anybody else play it.
Yeah, it's good. Was that ever a risk that they would recast him?
Well, I mean, you never know with your Don Cheadles and your.
That's because Terrence Howard
Malick's,
wasn't.
Terrence Malick. I meant Terrence.
Oh my
Malick.
God! Could you imagine if Terrence Malick played Rhodey? That would be bizarre.
I don't know if I want to.
So then the other side of the coin, we have Sebastian Stan as young Mark Hamill. No, as James Buchanan Bucky Barnes, a.k.a. the Winter Soldier, a.k.a. kind of the White Wolf. They wanted to end the series calling it Captain America and the White Wolf, but they said no, it's got to be about Captain America, not Bucky has to take the back seat.
Yeah. But that's all right. He still does a pretty good job. He gets a lot of really great character moments in this. So I'm not gonna. I like his development a lot.
Definitely. Next we have the second of the Russell family to grace the MCU, following Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's his son Wyatt Russell as John Walker, aka U.S. Agent.
I was so looking forward to this. I don't know if you watched this this movie. What was it called?
Overlord.
Overlord. I really liked Wyatt Russell in that.
He was good in that.
He was also in 22 Jump Street as a small role. But I like that he finally has something where he gets a lot more substance and development himself. He's probably one of the strongest characters in the entire series.
For sure.
And
I also saw him in an episode of Black Mirror.
Oh, I didn't know he was in Black Mirror.
Yeah, well, in one episode.
Oh, okay.
But then we have Erin Kellyman as Carly Morgenthau, who is the leader of the Flag Smashers. I only other thing I know her from is she played one of the characters in Solo, a Star Wars story.
What was the name of the character in Solo? She was the Enfys Nest. That's what it was.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, Enfys Nest had a really cool design. But I feel like they changed actors or performers from beginning to the end, because at one point I thought Enfys Nest looked a lot taller, and then Carly Morgenthau, or I guess that's not her name. Excuse me. Erin Kellyman. She reveals the helmet, and I guess we get a look at her. It's oh, you look a lot shorter than you did earlier in the film. So
trick of the camera.
Yeah, I was not entirely sure what was going on here. But yeah, I like her a lot. I hope we continue to see her work.
She did a great job. Next we have Frederick Zoller himself, Daniel Bruhl, who I was alluding to in my kind of how I felt about the series as a whole. But he is here as Baron Helmut Zemo.
I love Daniel Bruhl. He's a very very talented actor. He's fantastic. And everything I've seen him, I watched. There's this show that he was on in TNT, The Alienist. He's very good in that. My first introduction to him was in Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds. Fun fact, that is my favorite Tarantino film.
There you go.
But I absolutely love this man. He does not suck in anything. So
he was great in Inglourious Basterds. He was really good in what was the movie?
Rush.
Rush, yes, where he played Niki Lauda.
I also liked him in Rush as well.
Very good, very excellent actor, and back again as Zemo following Civil War.
And so also, he is an internet meme sensation.
That's right.
Thank you to the Falcon and Winter Soldier for that opportunity.
And thank you to Marvel for releasing an hour-long cut, the Zemo cut, to just take the absolute piss out of a movie that takes itself way too seriously.
Yeah, that is true.
Next, we have another MCU alumni, Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter, a.k.a. Spoilers, the Power Broker.
I'm not sure how I feel about that latter part, but you know what? I was happy to see her again. I actually didn't even realize she was going to be in the show again. More so than, I know we got Daniel Bruhl's announcement a lot earlier. Mm-hmm. I feel like we probably got hers earlier too, but at the same time, we had not heard, about her since Civil War. So the use of her character in the show, I think, does some really great things, honestly.
Yeah, she was good. I mean, it was cool to have her back. Just in general, I think it was cool. She had some kick-ass scenes and stuff. But we'll talk more about kind of her inclusion and where they're taking her character a little later. We have Clay Bennett as Lamar Hoskins, a.k.a. Battlestar. This is an interesting character because, Bucky used to, back in the day with the comics, used to be kind of like the Robin. He was the boy sidekick of Captain America, but the character of Bucky was almost interchangeable like Robin, so there were multiple Buckys, and Lamar Hoskins was a Bucky before he was Battlestar. Obviously, Bucky is a real human being in this series, so they just skip straight to Battlestar. But I thought he was pretty cool.
Also, if you look at his Wikipedia, he's as unnamed man in Captain America 323, and as Lamar Hoskins in 333, 10 issues later. And then as Bucky, 334. Jesus, they really went through this guy's life in just, what was it, a year or 2 years of comic book publishing? Oh my God. They tried him.
Well, that's sometimes they do that kind of thing.
I wasn't familiar with Battlestar. I was just vaguely familiar with U.S. Agent, but Battlestar, I actually had no idea who he was. I had until the show.
Yeah, but let's see. Oh, here's I think kind of the last big character to talk about, and then the rest are kind of just side characters. But Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley, a name that is just drenched with a lot of bad blood from the history of this world, and
kind of like a secret history of Marvel itself. You kind of put it to me really interesting words before the show. You said it's almost like life is imitating art.
Yeah, so I definitely want to talk about that. I think pretty quick, but I know you have that interesting kind of thing that you saw in the article you want to talk about, and I definitely want to give you a chance to bring that up. Let's just quickly rattle off the last few members of this, and then we'll dive into this series. So we got Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres. He's just Sam's military friend. The big thing is he is the second Falcon, so I'm sure down the line he will don the wings again. I said again, for the first time.
Yeah.
And he's like a golden eagle Falcon, so that's kind of cool. We have Florence Kasumba returning as Io. I thought it was really cool that she has been reprising her role since Civil War, I believe, which is cool because with a force like the Dora Milaje, it's easy to just kind of like, hey, let's just, they can kind of almost be faceless. They're just a cool task force, and the only one that really matters is Okoye.
Yeah.
Who's Denai Guerrera's character, but
I don't know.
Florence
They gave her a lot of lines in Civil War before Okoye was even in the picture. So I was surprised when we didn't even see her in Black Panther.
I don't know if she's not in Black Panther, but apparently she is in what's the Infinity War. So I have to go back and check. But
there was a lot of actors or characters that were cut from Infinity War that had like scenes. Like I know Kraglin from Guardians of the Galaxy. He filmed a bunch of scenes. He is in Endgame. Yeah, he's in it, but he doesn't get any of the scenes that he filmed as Kraglin. He just has his mocap as Rocket, or at least Sean Gunn.
So actually, just checking, she did show up in Black Panther and Infinity War, but not Endgame.
Oh, she was in. Well, I guess she was snapped. But she was in Black Panther. I don't remember seeing her.
But it's cool that the Dora Milaje are given Io is another member, and I'm sure given enough time, especially with them announcing Black Panther: Wakanda Forever as the next film following the first Black Panther, which I understand will focus more on the people of Wakanda, since we have had to they've had to change gears with the untimely tragic death of Chadwick Boseman. But hopefully we'll get to see Io be a bigger role in that film, and we'll get to see, maybe learn more members of the Dora Milaje, and they won't all kind of just be faceless, nameless people. It's cool that they all have their own personalities, names, etc. The last person who I think is worth mentioning is randomly appearing Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
I don't even know what this is about. Like, I have no idea where this seems like a very niche thing. Do you know anything about her character?
Just that she is in my brief research, she's a SHIELD agent, Hydra agent. She's a mystery person. Apparently, she was first supposed to appear for the MCU in Black Widow, but because Black Widow got delayed or something, they put her in this. I don't know. Look out for her in Black Widow, because maybe she'll pop up. I think they're just they're stacking the deck, so that way down the line it'll feel like they had a plan the whole time.
Yeah.
Because spoiler alert, Marvel is really good at making it seem like they had a plan this whole time, but they almost never do.
Yeah, well, that's we'll see. Maybe they're saving her for later. Maybe it'll be kind of like a what was it, like the I'm trying to think. The Netflix Marvel shows, they're trying to tie everybody together with like that one character. But
Rosario Dawson, yeah.
Not Rosario Dawson, but like the lawyer woman. What was her name? I forget her name.
Her name was I knew this. I forget.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah. Anyway, I think the first thing let's touch on is because I know we kind of alluded to it, and I think it's maybe one of the most important aspects of the show. But let's talk Isaiah Bradley. Let's talk about there's this interesting bit of information you wanted to touch on regarding Isaiah Bradley from an article you had shown me.
Yeah, what's interesting about this show, and I guess about we're now being put into this, or at least we're given a lot of the superhero content that's we now have a lot more context for, rather than just like superhero, from comic books to like the screen. Like we are giving it. I mean, with all the background of like what's happening in all over the world, like politically and just with other programming, like the Watchmen series that came out like a year ago, all just seems like perfectly timed and also perfectly aligned with everything that's going on. I don't know if I'm saying this right.
It's topical is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's topical, but it's like it's also really satisfying for us to be able to like, for the creators of these shows to be able to like capture these stories.
There's definitely a national discourse that's going on that I feel like these shows you're able to broach sometimes difficult subjects.
Yeah, and also like kind of create more empathy in the audience, because these films, these I mean, they're shows now, but like these programs, they reach a wide audience, and you know, if there's a way we can bridge gaps between misinformation and ignorance, then this is the way to do it. And so I did find, it was kind of unexpected. I don't know why I didn't realize that this would have been something they were to bring up. As to Sam Wilson's reluctance to want to become Captain America, we get this story of Isaiah Bradley, who was a one of the first like black super soldier, or like super excuse me, what is it, this like the super soldier serum recipients?
So he was basically after Captain America, Steve Rogers, the U.S. was trying to recreate the serum and reproduce the same effects, and so they got very experimental, and at one point turned their attention to black soldiers who were not treated with the same niceties that the white soldiers were.
Yeah, and and it's just like, wow, I didn't even fathom that. And then, so this article I found was written by The Hollywood Reporter, talks about how this is actually this is from actual Marvel lore. There was a comic book, a Marvel issue in the Captain America realm titled "Truth: Red, White, and Black" by the late Robert Morales, which explored like the past experiments of minorities trying to protect, as the government was trying to perfect the super soldier serum. And like when you read about like the publication history, and it says like when Disney acquired Marvel in 2009, like that this issue of this comic, it just went out of print and hasn't been republished since I think, what was it, 2003, and it was also very poorly reviewed by a lot of the fans at the time. They thought that this painted Captain America in a very bad light. And it kind of goes to add on to like the narrative of like why Isaiah Bradley, his importance to both representation and like how he was treated, both fictitiously and in real life.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like you said, kind of like it's life imitating art.
I mean, because I agreed.
Did I? Well, it's like you agreed. But I would have to think like if I don't want to think that Disney said, oh, we don't want this particular story out there for people to see when we purchase Disney, but or when we purchase Marvel, excuse me. But I think the fact that they are broaching this subject in this show, that they obviously, it's going to get a very mass appeal. It's going to get a huge audience. It shows a level of trust and honesty that they have with the subject material, that again, like that maybe they maybe didn't have right away. Maybe it's like, hey, we're just getting our hands on this. We're just getting this cinematic universe off the ground. Maybe that they felt was not the time to bring up a very troubled story, a story about a very troubled past. of one of the characters they wanted to have as an icon for their, upcoming franchise. Not saying it's the right thing to do, but the fact that now that we are getting into kind of like the deeper lore surrounding Captain America and his legacy, I think it's good on them to finally, acknowledge the Isaiah Bradleys of the world, because obviously Isaiah Bradley as a comic book character is very much, inspired by the stories of like the Tuskegee Airmen,
right?
And the real, actual, horrible experimentation that the U.S. government did to black soldiers, and the just awful things that they had to endure in secret because of the government.
I think there's two ways of looking at it, that being one. And then the other being like, you look at the context of the at least the comics, the story that the story was told in, that this took place, before Captain America came out. Like, I know in the show they talk about Isaiah Bradley came after Captain America, but in the comics it's that he came, it was like a prequel story to like, we got Captain America because of like the sacrifice and the torture that Isaiah Bradley, along with countless others, went through, and so, that says one thing. And then additionally, like, what if Disney was just trying to save face and saying like, oh, wait, we need to get rid of this because we don't even know how to incorporate this now, like you kind of say, and maybe we'll do the justice it deserves later. But at the same time, like, it just seems very easy for them to be like, oh, let's not deal with this now and we'll wait. Because what if it wasn't even, what if it wasn't until Spellman came along and said, hey, I want to bring this into the thing, or like Kevin Feige, and then he has to have the conversation with Kevin Feige and Disney saying like, because this is publication history we're talking at this point. But in the end, like, I'll say that now that it's here and it's available for all of us, like, I think that they did say that there's a digital versions of these issues of Truth that are available now on Marvel's website, and that you can, physical copies of reprints don't really come out very often unless they're in collected volumes.
That's pretty common just for comics in general, not
exactly.
Yeah, but I think though that what really makes, what might have been like the reason they chose now to do it is because it is so central to the theme of the story that Falcon and the Winter Soldier is tackling, which is the passing on of the shield, the passing on of the mantle of Captain America. And like, as much as Sam is the inheritor of Steve Rogers' will, Isaiah Bradley was the inheritor of the weight on Steve Rogers' shoulders.
Yeah.
With none of the glory attached to it. And the struggle he goes through is so central to understanding Sam's point of view that, I gotta give the show credit. They don't tackle everything with as much elegance and grace as they do others, but I think they did this part really well. And listen, when it comes to like superhero shows, I think in superhero movies, you don't get this kind of mature storytelling. Listen, like, not to throw someone under the bus, but Zack Snyder literally used the term like, oh, my movie, when talking about his Snyder Cut, is my movie's for grown-ups because it has cursing and violence. And I'm like, you sound like a
not
13-year-old.
Because it's like thematically, like, this is something that probably you need a certain maturity level to understand. And
right. This was a real, like, yes, it might be about strong men who got special juice that made them punch well. Yeah. But this is still racial politics. This is still about the government hiding secrets from its people. This is still about the government abusing its people. And
it brings up racial injustice. It brings up the ideal American image and what that was seen to have been. And just like kind of all these practices that were in play that, I mean, very reflective of both past and modern day society, as we've seen in this last year and in the last, 100, 300, I mean, I don't even know how many years at this point. But it's actually, I mean, it's nice that these things are coming out in the way that they are. I feel like even, this section of the show does or addresses this divide a little more effectively, a little more nuanced in parts of like maybe what Watchmen was trying to do. I mean, I feel like in a way Watchmen, the series, was almost like, it was just like very overt racism in a way, toward the end, versus this one, or at least like it was addressing that. Versus
this was more about like systemic societal racism, like even stuff of like that really tough scene of when after their first visit with Isaiah Bradley and Sam and Bucky get into their disagreement outside, and the police come over and they're like, "Sir, is this guy bothering you?" And you're just like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
you're like, "Just please, God, no."
It's like you can't escape injustice anywhere. So it's really, I think it's a nice. It was really important that they do include things like this.
But I love that it ties into the characters. Like Isaiah Bradley, he wants nothing to do with his history. He wants nothing to do with the Captain America name. He hates it. He thinks the shield should be thrown out. None of it is good. But Sam, he's able to kind of he takes the shield. By the end, he accepts the shield and he says, no, I'm going to
he's not going to right the wrongs, but he's going to establish like a new,
exactly,
a more modern and more inclusive and a newer agenda for the shield, rather.
Yeah, and I mean, let's kind of shift to Sam, because he carried the series 100%. Anthony Mackie did such a good job embodying this character who, from a personality level, he is the inheritor of Steve Rogers' will. He is every bit as heroic and understanding as Steve Rogers was.
Yeah.
And I love that they tie in that he used to help veterans back in Civil War and
it was Winter Soldier that we got in his introduction.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know.
You'd make you look very cool around the VA.
Right. So, but his whole introduction was he helped people deal with the stuff they were going through, and so you can see that
and any lingering things that
exactly.
Yeah.
So when he goes to confront Carly Morgenthau, his first instinct is to not to attack her, but to talk to her and understand what she's going through. And it's like that's real heroics. I know there are people who they just want to see these people punch and kick ass and all that stuff, but this is this is a real hero.
I was gonna say, because I mean that's kind of our both the conflict and the resolution in the end is because of that skill that Sam has.
Mm-hmm.
We come to the end of the show and it's like because of his ability to listen and understand and try to empathize with his enemy, and also to make his it's not like his leaders also like see and hear the voice of reason, like
mm-hmm.
like he was the conduit in which Carly's agenda was seen into fruition, maybe not as violently.
Yeah, right.
But also,
which was the necessary change that needed to happen. Was
exactly.
Obviously her message was not getting across by her methods, but at that point she was too deep into it to stop. We'll get to Carly in a second, but
no, but I do enjoy like all of Sam's from beginning to end. Like he had actually, he was kind of under fire from all sides.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, because they did this really smart thing with this series, because at the end of Endgame, Steve gives Sam the shield. He says, "It's yours. I want you to have it." And if they had picked up this series and he was Captain America, I almost feel like they could have gotten away with that if they wanted to. Like, all right, he's Captain America. That's this is how things are. But they were smart and they said, no, we're gonna make it about him becoming Captain America and about him, what that really means. And one of the parts I really liked is that right off the bat, it has its statement of intent is, a black man is going to be taking over the role of Captain America, and it knows right away that is going to upset some real piece of shit people, because there are people he even mentions in the series that he's like, there are people, I can feel it, even just by holding the shield, there are people who are going to be very upset. They're pieces of shit, but they are going to be upset about this whole thing. And when the show came out and they said, hey, this is what it's going to be out, we're going to be talking about some rough, real life politics that affect people in this country every day. And there are people saying, oh, why do you have to make the show all about politics? And oh my God, why can't it just be a superhero show? And blah, blah, blah.
I don't think people realize that, all these things come from, reflections of what we're really, experiencing. That's what writers do.
Exactly. But I love that the show validates its own arguments by just existing.
Yeah.
It says, yeah, there's going to be people who have a problem with a black man taking on the role of Captain America, and then you have people in the actual audience, pieces of shit, mind you, but people in the audience going, hey, I don't like that they're making a big deal about this.
Yeah. It's not... I think they're doing a great job with that. That being one of the issues that Sam is experiencing in this, like, it's both, like, it's his duty to Steve, it's his duty to, like, the public, or, like, the image that, like, the shield represents, and that he understands and he knows what is going on. And I guess that's, like, to the sense of what, like, that's why he let the government handle it. Well, I guess not intentionally he did that. But he's really dealing with a lot of different crises, externally and internally, like that. He's being pulled apart in like 20 different directions. So the fact that he comes out on the very end and stands on top, I think some of the, resolutions they gave him in the end, they were kind of lame. Less of the Captain America stuff, more of his personal issues with, his whole family storyline. I just, at one point I just felt like, all right, we're just watching a commercial now. But that's not his fault. Like, I think they should have focused more on some of the, they did. I just think there's some excess on the show. Some things that we didn't necessarily need, or that were,
I would say in comparison to some of the other less good elements of the show, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'd say his personal stuff, it was fine for the most part. It wasn't anything noteworthy, but it was fine.
Yeah. But no, overall, I really liked how they characterized him in this in this format, because you know what, he did carry with that, like that, the necessity that he has to go and help people. Like, he tries to help his family, and even in things that he doesn't even understand at this point, because he's been so detached from that world. When we come to find him, he's still like doing contracts for the government, and like, doing air attacks and just really cool, awesome battles and stuff like that. And when you look at, let's talk about some of the production of the show. Like, they made him look amazing. They made him look so badass, more than any other. Now that he's got the spotlight, he is living in it, and it's awesome.
The canyon, big like air battle from that first episode was fantastic. Never once was I like, oh, that looks shaky. I was like, this flight looks fantastic.
I think the choreography of it looked awesome. I think there were some parts where I think like some of like the rendering and coloring, I'm like, I feel like it's a little off, but I'm not going to say anything, because this is still super badass and I'm really enjoying it. So why would I nitpick it?
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. Another thing I liked seeing was just like, he elects not to use to take the super soldier serum. In fact, he's asked to if he would, and he, without even like hesitation, is like, no, I don't want it. And getting to see him have these workarounds to fighting enemies with super soldier serums, using his suit, using his wings, using the thruster on the back of his wings was really cool.
I would say, when we get to the latter parts of the show, I like it more, but like where, when we get to the point where like in the beginning where he's facing these threats, and then like to that point, that middle section where it's just like his training and all that, I was not into any of that. I think that's representative of an older form of television that we have moved past. Even movies have moved past. And I'm like, why are we still doing this? Why did we waste part of a $25 million budget in this episode for like 15, almost what it felt like 15 minutes of just running and jumping and throwing the shield and high-fiving your nephews and like doing backflips and stuff like that? I'm like,
oh, whatever.
In gym shorts, nonetheless. And it's like,
it's hardly the worst thing about this show. I
don't know. That's one of the worst for me. That's like one of my top 5 worst things.
Let's switch it over. Let's talk about the other half of this paradigm. Let's talk about the Winter Soldier, also known as Bucky, because man, he finally got some much needed depth in humanity.
Yeah,
I love the idea that he's haunted by his past. He has nightmares of all the horrible shit he's done to people, and he's just, like he goes to therapy, and he goes and finds people who he has wronged in the past, and he makes amends to them, and the people he hasn't worked up the courage to confront, he still tries to make their lives better, like Mr. Nakajima, who he eventually opens up to, but even before then, he's just spending time with him because he doesn't think he can tell him the truth.
I really like his like the whole morale behind it, though. Right? It's like he's been trying to make amends with himself for his own sins instead of trying to make amends with the people that he hurt, and doing not what he thinks is right, but what actually is right. And like that conflict right there, it's innately human. It shows like expectation versus reality and all of that, and it's just like, oh man, like.
Yeah, the talking to that Sam gives him in the second to last episode is pretty solid.
I loved every little part of it.
And I want to give what it was, the Emmy reel. I want to see Sebastian Stan in that Emmy reel next year. Because the scene from the beginning of The Whole World Is Watching, which is episode 4 of the series, when it's a flashback to Wakanda, and she is running through the words, the trigger words for the Winter Soldier, and the look on his face of just pure fear and sadness giving way to like shock and elation that the words no longer work. I mean, he delivers it so well. I saw so many people saying it that like, thank you, Sebastian Stan, for taking a concept that could have been kind of silly and not phoning it in. Like, thank you for showing up to work, for giving it 100% in a scene like this, because that he showed such intense emotion in 2 minutes.
I honestly at that point, I feel like if that's peak Bucky as of so far, like I had no idea. I mean, he can only go up, and I hope that they treat him like that. Like where are we going to see him go from here at this point? Like he's our last link to like the older Captain America story.
Guard.
And the thing is, like, in a way, he kind of it's we need to move outside of the shield, outside the shadow of the shield. Even though I know his name's in line somewhere, but like. He doesn't need that. He's his own. He's coming to his own.
Yeah,
and I'm really excited
absolutely.
to where he moves on past the show. There were a couple of tidbits that I didn't notice myself. In fact, I read these first. A user on Reddit kind of talked about this small character nuance where they're like, "Oh, why didn't you use your vibranium arm?" And like Bucky says, "Oh, I'm left-handed."
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at the past Winter Soldier appearances, anytime he's the Winter Soldier, he's always using his right hand. But anytime he's Bucky, he's always using his left hand as his dominant hand. And it's like, oh,
there you go,
dude. Like, that's awesome. Like he's. I mean, maybe that's not him, and that's all the Marvel higher ups and writers and all the other major contributors to the show. But Sebastian Stan delivered it and gets the whole slice of the pie. So I can't deny him that. I really liked him from beginning to end. Even all like the action that he did. Like, I just same thing with Sam. It's like I like how they didn't give Sam machine guns in this show like they did in all the other things. Like I like that he had like you said, like he's using his other tech or his other skill sets. And same thing with Bucky. Bucky doesn't have a giant gun anymore. He
does get a pistol at one point, but he doesn't shoot it. He opens his hand and he reveals that he didn't actually have the bullets in it, and the bullets fall all slow motion like.
Yeah. So, but like at that point, I'm just happy that they were able to go and. I mean, of course, they wanted to play with like close combat, close quarters fighting, and it's like, you can't deny them that. It's all good fun, especially with like you have this like action show. Yeah, make the best out of it. We don't need to see all these gunfights. We have John Wick for something like that.
Right.
We have the Punisher and all that, and the Punisher gets bloody. We talked about it earlier, but like that show gets gruesome, and not even with just guns, with everything. I love it. I think though, one of the best gems of this entire show is neither in Sam or Bucky, but it's in our new Captain America.
Oh gosh, this guy,
John Walker, played by Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, man. So seeing him for the first time at the end of the first episode, and I remember there was all the memes of like the old man from Up with the Captain America helmet on. And it's funny because he got the exact reaction that he was supposed to get. And Wyatt Russell even said, and listen, it's okay to like something, but don't be a fucking weirdo, because Wyatt Russell said he got death threats after his first appearance in the series as new Captain America.
Yeah.
And my God, like, you do, like, I hope the people understand, like, you're not supposed to like him.
I think he was really great, non-likable, punchable face kind of character, especially when we started getting him, in the show. What was his like first major role? Was it like in episode 3 or was it 2?
Mm-hmm. And 2 was like, that was like his big like introductory moment.
Yeah, but I think it's like it was a great foil too. Like, I know we got it announced a little earlier that they would have this character in like before the show came up. But like seeing how they would implement him and like, the rejection that he would receive from like Sam and Bucky when trying to work with them, and then later like the competition, the competitiveness that he would, it was all. I'm a little fumbled up right now with my words. Excuse me.
No, he did a good job. He embodied the other side of Erskine's talk to Steve Rogers back in the first Captain America, because he told him, you need to be not a good soldier, not a perfect soldier, but a good man. Steve Rogers was a good man. John Walker is a perfect soldier because he does what he's told.
Oh,
He doesn't worry about how dirty the job is. He does what he's ordered to do, and he is a man of very deep emotion. He's lets his anger do the talking sometimes. Like there's a scene when the guy spits in his face. When he's like, "Do you know who I am?" and stuff. A lot of times his scenes would end and I would just kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Cause he was just kind of pathetic through a lot of it on purpose, obviously. But obviously all the pity goes out the window when he takes that wonderful, wonderful shield and severs a man's head with it.
Dude, can I talk about some of the things, like, because that is probably, like, my favorite moment in the entire show, you know? Like, well, one, he embodies this, like, the perfect military soldier, like, and, like, also what at least we see as, like, modern military culture. You know, he has that strong sense of duty and honor, and then we also get, like, little bits and pieces of, like, the backstory and, like, the things that they've experienced between him and Lamar, and also, like, the brotherhood that they share, like, as, like, I mean, they've been in, like, the same unit, and now they're also, like, Captain America and Battlestar, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like, that relationship right there. And then we get, like, once Lamar is done, like, his brother-in-arms is gone. You know, he's already done some questionable things up to that point, but now it's
Definitely.
like the switch has been flipped, and the iconic and honorable shield has been tainted with, like, the literal blood of the enemy, and it was captured in front of the entire world, and people, I mean, not even Steve Rogers, I think, ever got, like, a tiny drop of blood on that shield. It got blowed up. It was exploded. It was burned.
I think he got alien blood on it, but that's about it.
Listen, you know, as long
Aliens
as that's not
don't
him.
count.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Zach.
I'm talking extraterrestrials, like aliens, meaning other people from other countries. They count. They do count, but
Right.
not green skin aliens from outer space.
But, like, oh my god, talk about that, and then, like, he gets almost court-martialed right after. I like the process, but you brought up a fun, you haven't brought it up yet verbally, but in your notes that I saw, we kind of were left off with this lingering feeling after that moment that after he was stripped of his Captain America role, that he would be driven kind of to a place of, like,
Dude, I thought
mad and more antagonist-like.
I thought he was gonna be like, listen, there is the famous shot from the comics of, like, John Walker as U.S. agent with his shield jumping over Sam Wilson as Captain America with his shield, and, like, they're in the middle of a fight and stuff, and I thought that was where we were going, and maybe we'll get there eventually, but, when so in episode 4 he kills a man with the shield.
He shows up and thinks he can keep doing the right thing. Like, what?
But like, they had a whole scene of Bucky and Sam beating the shit out of him, breaking his arm, taking the shield, and then at that point Sam has claimed the shield for himself. He's gonna do the right thing. He's gonna be Captain America, and we get this cool mid-credit scene of John Walker forging his own shield,
which I don't know,
did fuck all.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, like, not like that thing was made of anything besides, like, your spare products in your home, dude. What did you expect? Like,
but man, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but the way visual storytelling works, that whole
that illusion,
second to last episode really screamed, this guy's gonna go off the deep end and he's gonna be the big problem they have to ultimately overcome. But
I think that would have been a stronger version of the antagonist too, because we were given two almost antagonists in the show. So I guess one was the primary, and then one was, like, a replay almost.
I would say we'll get into, like, I think a handful of things after we finish talking about John Walker that I feel didn't work or didn't live up to what they should have. But
did you have another note on John Walker you wanted to add?
Well, just that, he has this whole thing with the Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, where she just shows up, she's like, here's my card, it's blank, I'll call you, don't call me. And then at the end he gets his black suit. And I guess they're setting him up as a,
I don't want him on the good guy team, Zach.
I
do not want that.
I don't think they're doing that. I think that they're either setting up the Thunderbolts, which is like Marvel's Suicide Squad,
Okay.
or they are setting up. I don't know. I gotta see. Maybe he has plenty of time to become a bad guy again. I want him to be a bad guy because
Yeah, I do not like where we left off with him.
But let's talk about a few things that just did not, that had a lot of potential and just did not reach the pinnacle of what they could have been. The first being Zemo, because Daniel Bruhl, terrific actor, as we've said, he comes back and, like, when you think of Zemo, at least in the sense of how he was portrayed in Civil War, he's a schemer, he is a backstabber, and he's really good at getting inside your head and making you do things and making you trust him and then screwing you over.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it felt like they were going with him, and then it just peters out. Like, I'm sorry, he gets the mask. They build him with that he was going to have the mask, and he wore it for one scene. And
that was that.
And then like, yeah, after, like, there's the whole scene when Sam, Bucky, and John Walker all fight the Dora Milaje, and as they're all getting their asses kicked, Zemo just kind of excuses himself and runs, and you're like, oh shit, he's on the loose now, and this is where it happens. This is where he reveals that it's all been part of his plan. But then he literally, like, Bucky shows up to the the monument in Sokovia, and he's like, okay, I'm ready to go back to prison now.
You know what I feel, though? Like, I don't want to say that it all falls on Zemo, because, you know what? I think he was only the way he was because of the fact that, like, we're revisiting the whole super soldier serum thing again, and, he hates it, and he wanted to destroy all the other Winter Soldiers in Russia before, and doesn't want. And so it's like, it's a product of that I'm like, okay, I guess, like, he's just filling in all the plot points that they need him to, and that was just his role, and like, he got that one great meme moment.
Yeah, I mean,
which, like, I love.
His characterization up until, like, the last couple of episodes was great. Like, even when it's like he shot Carly Morgenthau, and she spilled out the vials of the serum onto the floor, and he stares at them for a minute, and there's that moment I'm like, oh, is he gonna go against his morals? Is he gonna kind of backpedal on everything he's kind of,
I don't know,
set up until this point? And he doesn't. He smashes them.
Personally, I don't feel like there was ever a moment where he was going to take it.
Oh, no, I didn't think he would, but I was almost like, I was thinking of it more of a sense of, like, did the writers kind of, like, forget this aspect of his character? But then I said, okay, no, they had him smash it, true to his character, we're cool. But, like,
I like, in the end, his also plot to, like, he blew up the rest of them and make sure no loose end was left untied. I didn't hate that. I guess
it was, but it there's no lead up to it. It's all just like, oh, by the way, I'm still here, boom. And then we're supposed to understand that he orchestrated that whole thing from inside the raft. I don't know.
Listen, I still think, personally, that he is a result of the even lesser of desirable antagonists of this, which are the Flag Smashers. I do not like them by name. I don't think they were very strong in the show overall.
They are definitely the weakest link of this whole series. Carly Morgenthau, she's definitely not Marvel's worst enemy. I still give that honor to Malekith from Thor: The Dark World.
Malekith still has a better costume design, in my opinion.
Sure, that's true. But I think that the whole thing of the Flag Smashers, to me, it reeks of rewrites and reshoots where they, and it is actually really interesting. I will give a shout out to the YouTube channel Nando V Movies, where he has a video where he talks about what he believes was a rewrite they made midway through the production of the series, where originally the series was supposed to be about a pandemic, and it was supposed to be about the Flag Smashers were trying to get vaccines, and it was. I would say just go check out his video because the way he breaks it down.
Was it too on the nose?
I don't know if it was too on the nose or Marvel and Disney just didn't want to cover that ground or whatever, but it makes sense when you hear him talk about it. I'm not saying that it's definitive that that's what it is, but it kind of like it almost things make more sense as to their motivations when you factor in that kind of thing. And because at this point, like, you go like, okay, what do they want? They want to get supplies for displaced people after the blip, and they want to remove borders from countries, and they are opposed to the what's the government agency, the GRC or whatever.
Yeah,
and
which
then,
it's like all of their like the reasons. I mean, they're all understandable, and like I think they're strong enough. Like what would you call them? I can't believe I'm blanking on all my words tonight. I swear to God. It's like these are all really good.
Like motivations.
Bingo. Jesus. Oh God, Christopher, get on your game. These are all great motivations, but I think just because like I don't think Carly was as well thought out as they thought she was.
No, absolutely not. Honestly,
and all these other guys as well. Like I didn't understand. Like
at times, I think. Yeah, I feel there were plenty of moments where I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna worry about what they're doing. They're just extremists to move the plot forward, and so it was a little bit more palatable then. But yeah, there's just the most developed Flag Smasher besides Carly was the guy who grew up idolizing Captain America, who then was beheaded by Captain America. So
yeah.
They're they're just a group of baddies that are I feel like a lot of times Marvel,
you got one of them saying to Carly like, "Are we the baddies?"
Right, but okay, I feel like so often, and it's something that Marvel's been much better about getting over, which is the villain problem, where the villains don't have much of a personality and much of a motivation or even like an agency, and really the villains are just there to serve, to play against the hero, to bring out the heroic aspects of the main character.
I'm sorry that not everybody could be Loki, Zach, and have all that development over time.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that's what a lot of when you look at a lot of movies in the MCU, the weak villains are usually they're very blank because they're not there to be the main character. They're there to bring out the heroic qualities of the hero, and that is what we get here. Carly Morgenthau, she's not a very good villain. She's not a very interesting villain. She's not a very compelling villain, but she allows for the show to demonstrate Sam's compassion and his, how he will first try to talk to his enemy and reason with them before he resorts to violence. Yeah. And so in that, it's, fine. If they are literally just a stand-in enemy just for the sake of showing what a great guy Sam is, I'm all for it.
What's interesting that you say that is like, I think about Zemo and I'm like, wow, if that's the case, then I think he'd be one of the better villains that they've ever had, just because I think that his internal monologue and just like his motivations for everything and like what we've just seen of him, I think it's I don't know. I just think he was developed pretty well, and because of their focus of the Flag Smashers, they missed an opportunity to continue to explore Baron Zemo as Baron Zemo too, not just as Zemo. Helmet Zemo is what they called him in the
right
Civil War.
And I think Zemo, I like that he never lost his edge, though. Like, there are multiple points he is actively trying to kill Carly Morgenthau.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing that the villain, the people who are supposed to be the villain, the Flag Smashers, often come across as the victims in all of this, which is it's the point. We're supposed to pity them because they are what do you call it, oppressed peoples, and
Right.
so we're supposed to be like Sam, and we're supposed to see the good and the bad. So there it is. But the last character who I feel really got not the best treatment here was Sharon Carter, because I mean, listen, if they were just upfront with her being like a villain, I would be okay with it, because I think the whole idea of like, hey, this whole group of people got pardoned after Civil War, but she didn't. And she never got that freedom restored to her.
It would have been another stronger form of villain than Flag Smashers.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea for an origin story of like, oh, like, this is someone who was on our side and we just turned a blind eye to her, and she took that really personally, like anyone would.
Yeah.
And now she is funding and, giving serums and weapons to some dangerous people. She went overseas and she got a bunch of power, and now she's giving it out. And that's actually a really cool motivation for a villain that goes absolutely nowhere. And also, it's like I get it. They were just trying to like set her up as like a future big bad. It's someone that's a person that someone's gonna have to take down in a future movie or series. But like, literally, in the last episode, Carly
what if
is
they
like,
give her like the Crossbones treatment? That like she gets like the opening fight in like Captain America 4.
I would not
but,
like
that's
that.
It. I would be like, dude, what a wasted opportunity.
All that for nothing. No,
Yeah.
I want her to be the central villain of like, maybe like she'll come back in Miss Marvel or something. I don't know, or She-Hulk. Something that's very grounded on Earth, But, now she has access to the government and all the government secrets and stuff. But I don't know. I think the whole thing with like her and Carly, where like, in the final episodes, like they get into a fight and she's like, I'm the power broker and you're going to do what I say. And Carly's like, but I have a gun. And then Sharon just gets shot. And I go like, okay, power broker, you've been shot in the stomach and now you're dying. So like,
what's funny? I didn't need her to be the power broker at all.
No, she could have just been like cool, like Lady Hydra or something.
Like, it's not that I didn't. I mean, listen, if we were going to go the route that she wasn't the villain, which I mean, I guess is not the way that went. Like, I felt like that wasn't even, and maybe I just missed the mark on this, or I was not being a very attentive audience member. But like when I read it online first that like, oh, is Sharon Carter the power broker? And I'm like, what? Like, who cares? Just watch the show. And it's like, then it was revealed, and then everybody on the internet is like, oh, I knew it. That was it. They set it up for that. I'm like, oh, okay, good job, internet. Like, once again, you're putting up the theories that I'm like, you could have just let anything be anything.
But Chris, what if instead of power broker, she was like, I'm not Sharon Carter, I'm Ralph Boner.
Not great. But like, I don't know. I like the idea that if she were to have been just one of the main antagonists, that would have been a better, way of navigating the show. But she wasn't that, and whatever. Like, I guess
all I know is that going forward in the MCU, we've got 3 new villains we've got to look out for. We've got U.S. Agent, we've got Power Broker, and we've got Zemo's like 100-year-old butler, who's just car bombing people.
You better open up a space for him in the raft. Let me ask you though: did they decide that U.S. Agent will be an antagonist if the government gave him a black U.S. Agent suit?
I don't know. I think
I honestly think they're gonna put him on like the New Avengers or whatever the hell they're gonna do.
I don't think they're gonna do that. I think you can't have like, hey, it's new Hawkeye and new Ironheart and new Captain America and new Thor and new everybody, and they're all much better and they're all pretty much good guys, and the one dude who just chopped a guy's head off in broad daylight. No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like I said, they're either setting him up to be the main antagonist or one of the antagonists for the upcoming, freshly announced after the end of after the release of the final episode, they announced that Anthony Mackie will be leading a Captain America 4, which is very exciting. Maybe U.S. Agent becomes the main antagonist of that, and then we get a really solid movie where we don't need any build-up because we've already established these characters.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's the thing. It's like, I think my biggest critique for this show is that it spent a lot of time doing things that didn't seem very Captain America of them. It was not very cash money at all. And I'm talking about like $25 million of cash money.
Yeah.
So if anything, like it's not that I don't want any more series like this, because I don't feel like they wasted a bunch of time in WandaVision. I feel like everything in WandaVision was super important, including just all like the regular TV stuff that was important to build the world. Versus some of this stuff, it's like, are we ever going to see Sam Wilson's sister again?
Well, she might show up in the movie, but it's funny. Yeah, the two series that have come out so far were both in service of setting up movies, because obviously WandaVision's going to feed into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and this will go on to be Captain America 4, whatever they end up calling it.
Electric Boogaloo.
There you go. But I'm interested, with when we get to like Loki. Like, I don't think there's going to be a Loki movie after the series. Like, I don't. WandaVision 100% is not going to get a season 2. If that gets another season, it's going to be called like Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
And this one, I don't think is going to get a season 2 because it's not Falcon and the Winter Soldier anymore. It's Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and they're getting their own movie.
Zach, remember, we do have a new Vision, though. Like, there's another Vision out there, like, new body, and then his
There is. I don't think it's going to be WandaVision.
Okay.
Because WandaVision was just a play on the idea of, like, it was television, and so now she's, like, officially the Scarlet Witch, so...
Right.
And then we're getting Captain America 4. I don't think we'll get a sequel, season 2 to this Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I do think we'll probably get multiple seasons of Loki with no movie.
Can I make a prediction?
Yes, please.
And quote me on this. I feel as if Loki is going to stand above both Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision. And I feel like you and I are going to have a lot better things to say about that one.
I am so excited for Loki. Because Loki, because it deals specifically with, like, Loki fucked up the timeline and now they have to fix it, they are free to basically do whatever they want.
Exactly. So there's going to be a lot of room for, like, just exploration of anything, They're
not bound by like plot constraints and stuff. They can do whatever they want. I mean, it looks like in the trailers that Loki is DB Cooper, which is hilarious.
Dude, I'm excited for this. And I wasn't before, but now after finishing both these shows, I can say, like, this is going to be something worth the watch, and like continually so. Like, I think that people are going to want to see this more than some of the other stuff.
I am very excited though for the Hawkeye series because the comics it's based off of are great, and there's a golden retriever in it. And if you know me, I like my golden retrievers.
They're filming it right now, right?
They're filming it right now. I know they're working on Miss Marvel right now. Apparently, they're already working on She-Hulk. I saw like a set photo with what's her name, the actress they have playing She-Hulk.
Haley Steinfeld. She's in Hawkeye.
Yeah, she's playing Kate Beckett, I believe.
Okay, I think there's already set photos of her. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I could be totally wrong about that name though.
She's Kate Bishop, also
Bishop.
a Hawkeye.
Kate Bishop. I said Kate Beckett. Kate Bishop, yes. And So yeah, I mean, obviously MCU, it's not slowing down anytime soon. They got tons of stuff, but I just want to talk about a couple of little just details in this series that I've just felt like, just I wanna appreciate them. Don Cheadle in the first episode, appearing as Rhodey.
That was awesome.
Really cool cameo. He's gonna be getting his own series soon. The Armor Wars.
We're finally gonna get to pick up on that one line next time.
Yeah, except he had the next time. That was Iron Man 2.
Right, but like now it's like imagine the last time we saw him, it's like, next time I'll have my own.
What if they do Armor Wars and it's Terrence Howard instead of Don Cheadle?
What if it's Iron Wars and it's Don Cheadle, Terrence Howard, and Terrence Malick?
Wouldn't it be something to think? Listen, talking about Terrence Howard, I'm not saying the man's not smart. I'm sure he's a very smart man, but
what an idiot.
I don't want to call him an idiot, but how he refused to take a pay cut for the second film, which I guess fine. You should be entitled to money, but man, he missed out on so much. He missed out on having his own series.
But think about it like this. Remember when Edward Norton said that he didn't do another Hulk, and he doesn't regret it over the last couple of years because he also feels like as an artist, or I guess as a performer, like that, he doesn't know if that would be as fulfilling to him as he'd like. Maybe Terrence as well has that.
That's true. Yeah, he got Empire, so he had a show going on. That's whatever. That's good for him.
Yeah.
There's some shots in this series that I thought were very powerful shots. Like you said, the shot of John Walker standing with a bloodstained shield was pretty spectacular.
Striking. I think I will remember that forever.
That is, absolutely. That's going to become an icon of the MCU going forward. But for me, I think the most impressive, the best shot of just like, this is like, we're looking at like, modern day mythology, is Sam Wilson in his amazing, absolutely incredibly comics accurate Captain America suit, descending on the city street with his wings spread, carrying Carly Morgenthau's body.
Dude, can I tell you what? Like, the chef's kiss moment for me was when he used his new vibranium wings as an extension of his new vibranium shield, and like did like a little shield dome. I'm like, that is a cool ass move. Number one. Number two, why did it take so long for Sam to get vibranium wings? I feel like he has had those wings messed with too many times. They were ripped off. They were crunched. They were. I mean, just how like did Steve never go like, hey, can we hook this guy up? T'Challa, can we?
I think
he's my buddy, so I need him.
I think if Steve Rogers had tried that, then T'Challa would have been like, check your privilege, white man.
But at the same time, if they were already prepping for Thanos, like when they were in Wakanda that time, and they said, "And get this man a shield." What did they just have those hand shields ready to go? And
I think they did because
them? Okay, if they were just ready.
I'm pretty sure because like the time frame of that movie, of those events, is like minutes. Like, they're in Wakanda for maybe half an hour before Thanos' people attack.
It makes me think. I wonder if in Black Widow coming out, if Taskmaster will pull out like a pair of wings and like do some fun stuff.
You never know.
Exactly.
I think he's gonna stick to mainly like mainline Avengers.
But listen, Sam Wilson is Captain America. He is a mainline Avenger.
He is now. But remember, this is set during after Civil War.
All right, guy. We don't want your timelines in here. This is all speculation.
But the last thing I want to mention is just that the fight scene with the Dora Milaje when Okoye just disarms
Okoye
Bucky.
or
It's Io, excuse me. Oh my god. I'm horrible.
check your privilege again.
Yes, I will. But Io, when she just uses her Wakanda tech and just drops Bucky's arm off of him.
Dude.
And the look on his face, and just like, a lot of people were saying, like, there was one guy I remember seeing on the internet, one guy arguing, that shows such a disrespect from Wakanda toward Bucky. It's like, no, this is a guy who
That's called
was
like tactics.
Yeah,
they're in a fight. They're not on the same side right now.
And that's also like it's called like, I don't know what you call it. You call it just being smart. It's like, hey, this is a guy who has a history of murdering people. We might want to put a failsafe in there just in case.
Honestly, I liked it. And then I liked it right after. It's like, did you know they could do that? It's like, you think if I knew that they could do that, like, I would have let them do something like
He
that?
does
Or like,
cool,
I know.
arm spin.
Yeah. So
Also, man, when, oh my god, when John Walker goes up and he's like, listen, I got this, and he puts his hand on her shoulder, and Io just like, you're like, oh, you poor dumb bastard. And they've already like impaled a spear in the wall behind him, and so when she kicks him, he hits the spear, and the spear does not budge an inch.
Yeah.
And excellent stuff. So they're like the not so great parts of this series are not bad enough to take away from the absolutely awesome and wonderful and powerful moments of this series.
I gotta say, overall, we got a lot of quality images here, and lastly, just overall new suits. I love them; they're great.
Yes, absolutely. I am eager to see where all of this leads to.
I'm okay. I'll wait for a little bit. I'll let this simmer a little more. As we said before, Loki's coming up. That's going to be awesome. I actually tried going on Fandango today to see if I could purchase tickets for Black Widow already. They're not on sale yet, but I don't even think there's many like major theaters open around me as of yet. So
more
we will
and more
see.
every day.
Oh, I don't even know if I gave you this update, at least on the show, but I am now like 100% vaccinated right now.
Hey,
I got my second one, what was it, a week ago? And yeah, so I'm ready to get back to the movies with everybody else.
This is your
who can.
Scripter Screen weekly reminder. Get vaccinated. It's the smart thing to do. You're going to make your life a million times easier because, they're not going to let people on planes without vaccine proof now. They're not going to let people on cruise ships they're not going to let people into doctor's appointments and
stuff. I would say above all else, it's just a smart thing as we move forward into this year, and just help your fellow man and woman next to you.
That's the moral of this of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
To one another.
Exactly. And on that note, I will just say we have a new Captain America. It's a new day. Check out Falcon and the Winter Soldier if you haven't. If you've listened this far and you haven't seen the show, I don't know why you would spoil it for yourself like that, but go check it out. Go check out Invincible, because I'm enjoying it while I'm watching it. Go check out that video by Nando V Movies, where he talks about the possible rewrites that this series went through at like the 11th hour. And that's all the shout-outs you'll get from me.
Hey, you know what? Thanks, Zach, for all your lovely words on this episode of Script to Screen. Remember, you can always check us out on our website, www.scriptoscreen.com or anchor.fm/scriptoscreen. Hey, and you know what? There's also an Anchor app on the App Store. That's like Apple App Store, Google Play, all that business. And you can find where you can listen to us. That's on all the social media platforms. That's on all the podcast listening platforms. We're everywhere. So do yourself a favor. and subscribe to us, like our stuff, share our stuff. Let your friends know what you think about Script to Screen. Let us know what you think about Script to Screen. Leave us a comment, send us a message. We would love to hear from you. I have been Christopher Kitchen.
And I'm Zach Strackman.
Thank you so very much, and have a wonderful day.
Bye.